right, let's call to order the regular meeting. And Pledge of Allegiance, I will lead that today. Ready? Begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any additions to the agenda? We need to adopt the agenda. Entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Director Pennick?
Yes.
Director Boyd Hodgson?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Elitharp?
Yes.
Director Grosset?
Yes.
Do we have any public comments?
I do not believe so.
Item in the consent calendar. All matters under the consent calendar will be executed in one motion unless someone has an item to be pulled or someone from the public asks for an item to be pulled. Do we have any items that want to be pulled? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Motion to approve consent calendar?
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Director Pennick?
Yes.
Director Boyd Hodgson?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Elitharp?
Yes.
Director Grosset?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 2.1, water supply condition update.
Yeah, I'll be giving a brief update here. Chris Robbins is not available tonight, so it's the A team is not here, so you get me. So, and again, I'll try to keep this real brief. So, James, if you can, I don't know if I
You
have
should be able to
control this.
draw it.
Okay, there. So just a reminder that we're in a level 2 drought alert. The board did that back in November of 2022. MWD, Metropolitan Water District, has declared a regional drought emergency, and that will evolve as things go on to see what the impacts of that are. Just a real quick update. So back in September of 2021, this was a map of the statewide drought map. So the darker the color, the worse the drought conditions were. So you can see almost the entire state was in a really extreme drought. And if you fast forward to today, close to today, it's almost all gone. All that extreme drought is gone. So that's great news. Doesn't mean technically the drought's over. You know, we've got a long time to catch up for, but for current conditions and rainfall, it's really a good picture looking forward. So this is a map showing rainfall from the Northern Sierra 8-station precipitation index throughout the state. And again, these are mostly Northern California, but it's a good indication of statewide conditions. A lot of different lines here showing different years and how we tracked as the year went on. I want to draw your attention to this, is this showing here? Yeah, so this blue line is where we're at. So you can see this kind of dark royal blue line here. We were well above the average, which is this line right here, this kind of shaded area. We were well above it. Conditions have tailed off a little bit. They've flattened out, but we're still well above it. We're no longer tracking with the wettest year in history, the 2016-17 year, but we're pretty close to the second wettest, the 1982 to 83. Hopefully we'll get some more rainfall and we'll stay well above the averages. These are just some snow water content throughout the areas, so northern, central, and southern California. Snow water content just tells how much moisture is in the snow. If you're in Utah, there's much less water than there is in the Sierra cement that we get. So that's it. Utah snow is great for skiing, but not necessarily good for water conditions. You don't get as much water out of the depth of snow. But again, this royal blue line shows that we're well above the historical averages. Just a little picture on California reservoir storage. For each one, if you can pick any one of these in particular, maybe in the upper left, you can look at Shasta. The green bar shows the historical average. The blue bar shows where we're at right now. And the kind of the bigger yellowish bar is the capacity of the reservoir. So for Shasta, the average is well below the capacity, and Shasta's a little below the average, but it's catching up. But almost all the others are at or above the average. So If you compared this with what they were a year ago or even 3 months ago, it's a huge improvement statewide. So most conditions are good. So that's the kind of California water situation, but we're heavily dependent on the Colorado River status. Things are looking good there. So these numbers are as of February 6th. Upper basin precipitation to date is 123%. It's not the close to 200% numbers we're seeing in California, but anything above average is good. Lake Mead is 29% full and Lake Powell is 23% full. Both of those are increases. I don't have the number of increases, but both are trending in a positive direction. But there's still great concern, and that's why the Metropolitan has concerned, and they caused their drought or their supply shortage. Just a look at the temperature outlook. Where we're at, it's about normal. Northern California is below normal favored for temperature, but throughout the rest of the state, it's about normal. And for the precipitation outlook, it's about average throughout the state and a little below normal favored for very southern California. So that's it. Just want to give you a brief overview. Things are looking good. We're closely tracking what Metropolitan will be doing. They've indicated that by April, they may make a decision to limit supplies to their retail customers, of which the Water Authority is one. And then obviously we get water from the Water Authority, so if there's a drought restriction that affects the Water Authority, it's probably going to affect us, but we're tracking that closely. Any questions?
Questions? No?
All right.
Seeing none, moving on to item 2.2, approval of a construction agreement for Las Flores Drive sewer improvement.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be Elizabeth tonight.
Good evening, President Hernandez and fellow board members. We are here tonight to request approval of a construction agreement for the Las Flores Drive sewer improvements. Typically, construction agreements are consent items, but tonight we wanted to highlight this project's unique challenges and staff's effort working with all stakeholders to find a win-win solution that improves constructability for the customer while still meeting district standards. So this project is shown here on this exhibit as the De Maria parcel. This property owner reached out to the district to request a sewer connection. The district does not have any existing sewer facilities in Rancho Santa Fe Road for this property to connect to, so this developer is required to extend the sewer. Our nearest sewer on Rancho Santa Fe Road is the manhole shown on this exhibit that is north of the De Maria parcel. So this property owner will be extending sewer from that manhole, and by district policy, they'll be extending the sewer along this property's entire frontage to the southerly property line of the parcel. Now, the existing manhole in Rancho Santa Fe Road that they'll be extending the sewer from is about 12 feet deep. Typically, when we're looking at designing sewer, we typically set the pipe at minimum slope to keep the sewer deep to ensure that future properties can connect to the sewer and that it's deep enough to accommodate that. So one unique challenge that we had on this project, not shown here on this exhibit, but in Rancho Santa Fe Road, is the County Water Authority's 54-inch desalination pipeline, and that's about 10 feet deep. So constructing a sewer 15 feet deep adjacent to that pipeline presented some challenges with excavation because it would likely expose the County Water Authority's pipeline. So staff looked at this to evaluate if the sewer needed to be that deep. On this exhibit on Linda Vista Drive is an existing sewer, and all the parcels along Linda Vista Drive can connect to that sewer main. So we realized that there's not a need to extend sewer all the way to Linda Vista or that far south in the future, and that the only two properties that would also benefit from a future sewer connection are the Chavez and Satterley properties that are shown here on this exhibit. So with that, we worked with the property owner to install the sewer much more shallow than it was originally designed. And in addition to that, we also worked with the property owner to extend the sewer about 20 feet further south than his parcel line, and that will provide sewer for future connections from the Chavez or Satterley parcels, should they have a desire to connect later. There won't be a sewer main extension required to accommodate that. So that also makes the property owner of this project, Mr. De Maria, eligible for a reimbursement agreement, so that if Chavez or Satterley connect to this sewer in the future, we'll collect a reimbursement from those property owners for a proportionate share of the construction costs. And that gets reimbursed to Mr. De Maria. Now, that reimbursement agreement will be a separate board item at another meeting after construction of this pipeline is complete. But another proponent that was a bit unique for this was building adjacent to the county water authority's pipeline was just the coordination for our staff. Because while we had to find a design that meets our standards, improves constructability for the property owner, we also had to coordinate with the county water authority to make sure that we're also, the design is meeting their standards because they need to approve the plans as well. So it was kind of a unique project where we could find a solution that benefited the water authority, makes constructability for the property owner easier. It should reduce their costs by being able to install the sewer more shallow and meet our standards. So it's just something that we wanted to highlight to share because it's not always easy to find a win-win solution for everybody. So with that, we request approval of the construction agreement for the Las Flores Drive sewer improvements, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Question?
Yes.
Director Boyd Hodgson, you had a question?
Yeah, I just, I'm always impressed with the way that you and your team, Elizabeth, work to find creative solutions and are always thinking ahead about investment now for future connections. And I just wanted to compliment you on that. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you.
I have a question. Why did you go south with the extension as opposed to going north from Linda Vista?
So the sewer in Linda Vista was too high to connect to, so routing the sewer from that direction wasn't an option. It just doesn't work.
So sewer is going north?
Yes.
Oh, I see,
Yes,
okay, very
yes.
good. Thank you.
Good question.
Yes, Director.
Yeah, the extension, you said that you've made it shallower. Is it shallower all the way to the connection to the existing manhole? Is it like a drop manhole at that point? Or you're connecting?
Yeah, no, not a drop manhole, so we just increased the pipe slope to something steeper than our minimum slope that we, typically start designing with.
Gotcha, thank you.
You're welcome.
Quick question.
Yes.
Agree with everything. Thank you. Why does he want to do this? I mean, is he currently on septic, and is he building? Why would he want to do this?
He is currently on septic. My understanding is the home's kind of abandoned and not in good condition, so he bought the property to renovate it, maybe plans of a future ADU, so they wanted to get off of septic.
So what does this cost him if you can disclose that?
Oh, honestly, I don't know the cost. I didn't look at that. It's about 270 feet of 8-inch sewer main and a manhole. You have any guesses?
I mean, just an idea to the property owner. I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah, he's working with a private contractor, so yeah, my guess is it's probably gonna cost him, in the order of $50,000 with the additional, repaving. Paving costs usually get pretty expensive, but, and manholes can be about 10 to 12,000 each. He's doing one.
No, thank you, and I agree with what Director Boyd Hodgson said. Excellent job.
Yep, thank you.
All right, very good. Let's see.
We are looking for
recommended
approval.
Approval?
Yep, recommend for approval of.
Very good, and entertain a motion.
Motion to approve as presented?
Second?
And there's been a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Director Pinnock,
Yes.
Director Boyd Hodgson,
Yes.
Director Hernandez,
Yes.
Director Elefthart,
Yes.
Director Grosset.
Yes.
Very good. Item 2.3, award of a construction management and inspection services professional service agreement and design engineering amendment number 1 and 2 for the Meadowlark Failsafe Rehabilitation Project.
And Jason Hubbard is going to present this one.
Very good. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, you've got engineering heavy items tonight. Sorry about that. Let me just get this.
Why would you apologize for that?
I love it. We can geek out about this all night if you want. But yeah, so thank you, President Hernandez, members of the board. The item is related to the Meadowlark Failsafe Rehab, our Bueno Beach project. Two-part action. We've got an award for design amendment 1 and 2, and then also award of a construction management and inspection services PSA. So just quick background on the fail-safe line. So I have this graphic for you here. The fail-safe line, which is indicated here in the purple line, it's about 41,000 feet. It's 12 and 24-inch, primarily ductile iron pipe installed in 1980. It runs out of the plant, carrying secondary effluent, runs along Poinsettia Lane, crosses El Camino Real, gets into the Palomar Airport Road corridor, goes behind the Costco in Carlsbad, crosses the freeway, and ties into the ocean outfall, bypassing the Encina treatment process. We have a capacity of about 3 million gallons a day. We run about 70 million gallons a year through this pipeline. It's seasonal. It's based on recycled water demand. So when we have lower demand in the winter, we've got storms and whatnot, we end up putting more down this fail-safe line, very little during the summer. But as its name implies, fail-safe, it is a very critical piece of the puzzle for our system. We do have 3 reaches that are right here in this graphic. We've got the San Marcos, the Buena, and the Carlsbad reach, each with a corresponding level of responsibility with some of our partners, Buena Sanitation and City of Carlsbad. This is also broken out in your data table on page 82 of your board packet. The specific section that we're looking at is the Buena reach. So that's 9,900 feet of the entire pipeline, and we share all costs with Buena Sanitation District 50%. So the reason this project is important is back in 2018, 2020, we had about 3 breaks on this pipeline, and that's where we discharge secondary effluent to the environment. Expensive response for our part. Actually, we have to report this to the regional board. It's a high priority project, and so that's why the board, back in October 2020, we did award a professional services for design of a project to correct this with NV5 in the amount of $144,000. Project you see here on the graphic, that's page 86 of your board packet. What you're looking at is that 9,900 feet. The red line you see, we're planning to relocate it with new 16-inch PVC. That's to get it out of that area that you see. It's going through a parking lot and even under the corner of a building in an industrial area. So we're getting it out of that area and into the Palomar Oaks Way right-of-way. And then the light green line you see on either side of that will be the rehab component of the project, where we're installing a CIPP liner to gain additional life out of that pipeline. So this is the project that we've been designing. We're nearing completion of the design. Completing the design for this project is one of the district's tactical initiatives for this fiscal year, which General Manager Prum discussed at the last board meeting. And with completion of this project, as we're trying to wrapping this up with NV5, we have a couple of addendums or amendments that we need to resolve. And those are listed on page 83 in detail, but basically addendum 1 relates to some geotechnical services that we added late into the design to get some better design information for the project. And then addendum 2 was again some late minute scope changes to the design related to some coordination we have with Buena Sanitation and the City of Carlsbad. The City of Carlsbad is the jurisdictional land agency that this project is in. And so they have a lot of concerns with their facilities and environment, et cetera. And then Buena Sanitation, they're a 50% partner with us, so they're responsible for 50% of the planning design, our staff time, as well as the construction costs. So the second part of this action tonight is the construction management and inspection services that we're also requesting for this project. So knowing this project is coming up, finishing up design, we expect to put this out to bid probably early April timeframe. So back in November, we put an RFP out for these construction management and inspection services. We had about 7 firms interested going on pre-walks with us. Those firms are listed on page 83. However, only 1 firm turned in a proposal for this project, and that's Riley CM. So we did evaluate that proposal, looked at their approach, made sure it was in line with our expectations and our costs. They had a good proposal. We're kind of excited to work with them. We haven't worked with them before. They've been vetting us for quite a while, and we're kind of excited to see if they can perform. We did meet with them, negotiate with them, and we got their price down a little bit, so their price tag is $464,000 for these services. So when you look at the budget for this project, and it's laid out on page 84, we've got a $3.85 million budget for this project. And when you add in the design and the amendments that we're talking about tonight, including these inspection services that we're looking for tonight for you to consider, and you also include the engineer's estimate, which is $5 million, you're going to see that we have a $2 million deficit on this project. And that's primarily related to the construction estimate. At the time this was budgeted last year, prices, as you may be well aware of, just skyrocketed and doesn't look like they're going to boomerang back. And so they're quite high. However, at this time, the current budget is perfectly, can absorb the amendments that we're looking for tonight, as well as the construction inspection services, which were all budgeted for, are within the range that we had planned. We just, a year ago, hadn't planned for the construction cost to continue to rise. So we will be coming back to you once we have the project out to bid. We've got a contractor selected, and we actually have the real price, and we'll be looking for a budget increase at that time. But right now, tonight, we're not looking for that action from you. Two things I wanted to point out. One is, again, Buena Sanitation District is responsible for 50% of all costs for the project, so that's important to recall. Also, wanted to just show you some photos of the pipeline that was removed from those repairs. This is what we scientifically like to call Swiss cheese. And this is the driver for this project, and that cannot be forgotten. And so that's why we're excited to get to this phase of the project. And as you can imagine, coordinating with 2 other jurisdictional agencies, it takes an amazing amount of time. So I'm happy that we're here. And so with that, staff would like to request the board authorize the general manager to execute addendum number 1 and number 2 with NV5, our design consultant, in the amount of $31,012 and $27,088 for these addendums, or amendments, pardon me, for the design services for the fail-safe rehab Buena Reach project, and also authorize the general manager to enter into a PSA with Riley CM in the amount of $464,879 for the construction management and inspection services for this project as well. And I can answer any questions you have.
Director Boyd Hodgson.
Thank you for that presentation, Jason. And, I'm glad that you mentioned that the budget can absorb the deficit that we're talking about. No one wants to talk about how sometimes we have sewage spills. And I think doing what we can to eliminate effluent being discharged into the environment is something that is our moral obligation, as well as that's our job. I do have a question. When we think about, as we start moving toward eventually being able to recycle the water from Meadowlark, how does this play into that idea? Are we thinking about that? Was that part of the design process? Because I think that we should try to begin with the end in mind, especially for a project like this, where we have a lot of opportunity to replace a large part of the pipeline, and we want to begin with the end in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Creating recycled water is the absolute purpose of Meadowlark, primary purpose. Other factors we have to include is that, we've got to take that local flow in, and it's all based on demand. And I will say regionally, or as a partner agency, we definitely participate in a coalition to promote the use of recycled water. That being said, we are wholesaler, as you know, to Liebenhain and Carlsbad. So as their demand increases, we keep up with that in production. It's really those winter months where Mar Reservoir at its 54 million gallon capacity starts getting a little close. We get a little nervous. We've got these recent precipitation events that we've had, which are great for the region or for the drought, but not good for the sale of recycled water. So we need that fail-safe line to be fully functioning so we can not have problems.
And just to add to that, Director, the fail-safe is actually a state required. For when you have a treatment plant that treats sewer, whether you're producing recycled water or whatever, you either need a fail-safe line that you could exit in case you have a catastrophic event where the plant fails, or you need 180 days worth of storage. It's a lot of storage. We don't have anywhere close to that, and we could not even fathom building that. So that's why treatment plants, unless you have an ocean outfall, you need a fail-safe that connects to something or that large storage, because the plant could go down and be down for several months, and sewer is still flowing. So the fail-safe, no matter which direction we go in the future, you're always going to need a fail-safe just to meet the state requirements.
And Director Boyd Hodgson, I heard an embedded question in there, if we went to potable reuse too, right? So we still need it. So even if we use this facility to produce more drinking water that's more reliable, we can definitely get rid or sell it. We would still need this facility to meet all of our regulatory requirements.
Thank you.
Director? Yes.
Yeah, just a question on when we are using the ocean outfall with this line. Do we come under the umbrella of the Encina Wastewater Authority discharge permit, or do we have a separate one?
Yes, we're under the Encina Authority. EWA's authority includes discharges, which includes Metal Arc, and actually it included at one point Shadow Ridge and Merkel, but I don't think Merkel was ever built.
We don't have a separate
Yeah,
waste discharge?
we don't have a separate ocean discharge permit.
Okay, thanks. And I would support this project, and I'll move staff's recommendation.
And second?
Quick question. Just
Yes.
two. One, you mentioned the light green, relining that, extending the life of those. How long does that extend? Do we have an idea?
Yeah, typically liners extend the life 25-year minimum. We
Really?
hope for more, but that's the expectation.
Oh, okay. So that's good. And then you mentioned construction management, working with Riley CM. I like using new companies. That's cool. And you said it was $464 for construction management. Is that not putting any shovels in the ground? Is that just strictly administrative when you say construction management?
Yeah, the construction management component of it is really the administrative component of managing the project through construction, coordinating with the inspector, which they would be providing that as well, which is full-time inspection, which is what you want on a project of this caliber.
That's what the $500,000 is for, is just that portion of it?
Yeah, well, I will tell you that obviously the CM rate is higher than the inspection rate, but when you break it down, the CM component is usually 20%, a third of the cost.
How long is this project?
It's probably about I think it's about a year.
So it's $500,000 for the construction management for a year of this project?
Yep.
And I'm just trying to get clarification of my own little brain. All right.
Yeah.
And that's typical?
And that's typical, and it's what we do as we try to outsource these services to manage the capacity of projects and balance that with the equation of how many staff we have, and it's.
Yeah. And Dorothy, so most jobs that are small, medium, we'll do that in-house, and you'll see that as part of in the staff report embedded in the finances as staff costs. And you'll see a statement from
Right.
whether it's Ryan Morgan or Jason that does a presentation, staff perform the construction management. That's what that means. A job like this would take too much of our staff time where we couldn't get to our other jobs. So then we make the decision to outsource it because we just don't have the capacity to do that. And when this job's done, we may not need another person. So we have to take a look at, in the long term, what makes sense to outsource, what we can do in-house.
And that's fixed cost, that's not an idea, that's $464
Well,
as a contract.
Well, I will say it's a T&M cost, right? And it's really dependent on the dynamics of the project. So if you get a project that everything's just going good, there's no hiccups, you got a good contractor,
Okay,
agency coordination's really on par.
Which
This
this is gonna
project could
have.
get done a lot quicker, that cost will go down.
okay, that's what okay.
And
it's
so
a T&M.
we're realistically conservative.
Okay. No, that's just when you said construction, ears perked up, okay, thank you.
I have a motion, I need a second.
Second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Director Panic?
Yes.
Director Boyd Hodgson?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Elefthart?
Yes.
Dr. Grosset?
Yes.
Very good. Moving on. 2.4, the award of a construction contract and construction phase services amendment number 1 for the Maintenance Service Department's office project.
While Jason's there, you might as well cover this one.
I might as
Yeah,
well
get it.
stay put. All right, yeah, thank you for this item for you to consider is, again, another two-part, another twofer, and this is related to the Maintenance Services Department. Office's project, and this is the award of the construction contract and also award of the construction phase services amendment number 1 for the project. So if you may not be aware, the Maintenance Services Group is tasked with the continual maintenance of the district headquarters as well as facility landscaping, vehicles, easements, and our offsite facilities, as well as our warehouse and all the functions that performs. So currently, that department does not have office space for the supervisor and staff. So the exhibit that you have in your board packet on page 89 shows an underutilized shop space in building C. And so that was identified as an area that could be repurposed to accommodate this department. So the board awarded a professional services agreement in December of 2021 for MBN Architect for $49,000 to design this project. This project was put out to bid in October. We received 7 bids. Those are listed on page 87 of your board packet with all the contractors and their proposals. You can see APR Construction was deemed the lowest responsible and responsive bidder after being evaluated by district staff and council. And so that's the first component of this action. And then related to that, of course, with the construction comes those construction phase services that we were just kind of talking about. In this case, we've asked the architect, MBN, to provide an amendment to his contract to provide sort of a higher level of service in support of the project during construction. So he submitted a price of $40,000, and you can see that broken out on the budget on page 88. So with a budget of $410,000 for this project and factoring it now that we have a quote from the contractor, as well as our 10% contingency as required by ordinance, including the design and the construction phase services and staff, et cetera, we end up with a budget deficit of $52,213. The main driver for this is the increase in scope and level of service that we're asking to be provided by the architect. And that was really determined over the course of a year of design. Remember, we budgeted this a year ago, so things change. And so we're looking for a little bit higher level of service from him for this project. And so with that, the staff's asking for 3 actions from the board tonight. Approve a budget increase of $52,213 of the total budget for the project. Authorize the general manager to execute a construction contract with APR Construction for $283,848.10 to construct this project, and also to execute amendment number 1 for architect MBN in the amount of $40,537. And I can answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
Sorry.
I do again, I don't know, I guess I'm living in it. So we're just doing a tenant improvement
It's basically what it is.
for a supervisor office.
It's
How many square feet is it?
that's a good question. I don't actually have that, but it's
And it's for 450,000?
No, 200 and change.
283, I mean, I know there's other stuff, yeah, 283 for a supervisor's office, a tenant
Yeah.
improvement inside a building. Is this where the Jeep was?
It's the
No.
supervisor and their staff, so it's not just one office, it's for the whole, it's supervisor and all the staff.
I know, but how many, we have, I mean, is it 1,200 square feet, is it?
I think it's like 400 square feet, if I'm not
How many?
mistaken. 400-ish,
Yeah.
from my memory.
400 square feet, and we're paying 280,000. Am I missing something?
It does sound a little excessive to me, too.
And just truly a question, I don't know, I mean,
yeah. I mean, I'd say this project has a lot, and you can see in the photo, you've got a roll-up door that they're doing an infill, concrete wall infill to make it a standard door. It's got a raised ceiling, so they've got to do a drop. They've got to bring it, which comes with all the electrical and mechanical services that they're bringing down. Yeah, the HVAC, et cetera. So, yeah, we're prevailing wage, so our costs are
Right.
pretty high. And if you look at the spread, a contractor who built our ops locker room extension that the board may remember several years back, they're at $351,000, and they worked for us before.
a locker
So-
room that's right in here?
Yeah, well, it's in building B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was $1,000 a foot when we did it. And these prices are just outrageous, but that is what the market is producing these days.
Yeah. Definitely within a line for what we budgeted. When we budgeted this project last year, we actually, in this case, we actually caught it. We budgeted about 295,000, and it came in what we expected, knowing that this particularly vertical construction, which I'll be honest, we don't have a lot of expertise in. We do pipeline, we do treatment plants. We knew that these were going to be high, so.
Jason, can I ask a clarification question? I may have misheard this. I heard you request 3 items, and the item on the agenda is for approval of the project increase
Yes,
and the general manager to execute the construction contract.
correct.
And I thought I heard a professional services contract in there.
It's the amendment for MBM for the 40,000.
Is it listed? The question is, was it listed in the?
So did we already approve the
It's
project?
listed
Now
in
we're
the
just
title.
approving 52 increase?
No, well, so you're being asked to approve the $52,000 increase, the award of the construction contract, and I guess the item in concern is whether the item includes the third item that Jason mentioned, the
Gotcha.
professional services agreement.
Yeah, this would be an amendment to the professional service agreement, which that 40,000 by itself obviously is
Right.
below the threshold for the board, but we want to be transparent that we've already paid them 49,000 for the design.
For the
And this is an
design.
add-on to that contract, so that pushes it to the level that we.
Right, so that would be a change order to them for,
for-
First Amendment. So
Yes.
that would be 300, is it been noticed here?
3 actions.
What's it, what
The title has 3 actions on Jason's.
does the recommendation?
The
I don't have it
agenda
in front of
on,
me.
the published agenda does not.
So we might have to bring one back.
Oh, yeah, well, it's the budget increase, so to award the contract and to approve the amendment, yes, I just assumed that the budget increase is
Yeah.
required for that,
Yeah, so we're just-
as shown in the
We're only
memo.
approving 2.
Yeah, approve the 2 that are in there, and we'll have to bring the third item back. Is that,
It's under 50, but we're stating it in the staff report, so this way it's transparent.
But you don't need approval for it. Correct.
okay.
All right?
So just approve the 2 that are noticed, and staff will handle the rest. If we need to bring that third item back, we will. Otherwise, we'll just do
Very
it under
good,
my
very
signature
good.
authority.
Director Boyd Hodgson, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. The amendment, can you help me understand a little bit more about why we need that amendment?
Sure.
And I recognize that that's under discussion and we might need to bring it back, but we've already started talking about it, so maybe I can get a better understanding of that now, since we've already brought it up.
Yeah, so the original PSA that was approved by the board was for design services only, didn't include construction phase services. So through the course of the design, we decided that we were going to need them to come back and provide those construction phase services. And that includes just observations during construction from not only the architect, but also their electrical, mechanical, and structural sub as we hit certain milestones in the construction. And also just providing support. And again, this is sort of a T&M where there could be a lot of RFIs and change orders, or there could be very few. So based on that, we make an assumption of what we reasonably think we're going to encounter, and we would want the architect to be involved in that decision-making process. And so that's what these services are for.
Very good. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve a project budget increase and authorize the general manager to execute a construction contract.
President Hernandez, the staff has included a recommendation at page 88 of your agenda package, which does include that third request for the general manager to execute amendment number 1 with MBN in the amount of $40,537 for construction phase services. So that is staff's recommendation. I think we're fine to proceed with that, despite the fact that it wasn't on the front of the agenda.
So in
but-
addition to these 2, the addition of the construction administration for the architect.
So the staff report lists all 3 items as
Ah.
recommendations, but the agenda only listed 2 of the 3.
I see, all right, so then we do have the 3. Entertain a motion to approve. I will approve that, make the motion. Need a second?
Second.
Second, very good. Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Director Panic?
Point of order, Mr. President.
Up, sorry.
Point of order. Can we break up these items? Can we
You want-
vote on them separately?
You want to break them up?
Mhm.
Is that what
Yes.
you're hearing? Is there
Well,
a
there's
reason to do that?
there's a motion and a second.
Oh, this is discussion.
So if Director Boyd Hodgson has offered a substitute motion to handle these as 3 separate items, if there's a second, then you can proceed with the proposed amended, or the alternative motion. I haven't heard a second yet, but if there is, that would be the point of order to proceed that way.
Very good. For discussion purposes, I will second that. Can you explain why you want them broken out, Director?
The amendment is giving me pause in light of understanding the total cost of this project, that we are running a deficit, that it's only about 400 square feet. The amendment for $40,000 is giving me pause. That's why I wanted to break it out.
So you'd like, your motion is to approve 3 separate motions, is that correct?
Well, I would be advocating to vote separately on each of these 3 items.
Very good. There's a motion and a second for this. I guess we're going to do a roll call.
Director Panic?
Yes?
Point of order,
Yes.
are we voting to
To break it up?
Break it up.
break it up, or are we voting to approve?
We're voting to break it up
Break it up.
first,
The
3
substitute.
and
separate
then we will
actions.
do the motions to approve each individual one.
Okay.
So presently, Director Pennick has a yes on that.
Director Boyd Hodgson?
Yes,
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Elethart?
Yes.
Director Grosset?
Yes.
Very good. Now, I will entertain a motion to approve the project budget increase.
so moved.
And a second.
Second.
Roll call, please, on item number 1.
Director Panic?
No.
Director Boyd Hodgson?
Yes,
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Elethart?
Yes.
Director Grosset?
Yes.
Very good. Item number 2, authorize the general manager to execute a construction contract. I need a motion. I'll
So moved.
move to approve that.
Second.
And a second, roll call, please.
Director Panic?
No?
Director Boyd Hodgson?
yes,
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Elethart?
Yes.
Director Grosset?
Yes.
Item number 3 is to approve a construction manager, construction administration contract. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second
Second.
that. Roll call.
Director Panic?
No?
Director Boyd Hodgson?
no,
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Elethart?
Yes.
Director Grosset?
Yes.
Very good. Motion passes. That's the end of the action items. Item 3.1, general manager.
Yeah, in the interest of time, I don't have any items to report.
Very good. Item number 3.2, direct counsel.
In the interest of time and the conflict, I don't have any reports.
Very good. Item 3.3, water authority.
I too don't have a report, but it's because the next board meeting's next week on the 23rd.
Item 3.4 is Encina. We did have a capital committee meeting this morning, and the items that were discussed were the capital improvement project status, the proposed 2023 tactical plan, the DAF repair scope expansion, and the odor reduction facility number 2, installation of new foul air fan. And that's the end of that report. Very good, that's the end of the reports. Director's comment, future agenda items? Seeing none. That's the end of the director's comment, the future agenda, and I believe we are adjourned.
President Hernandez, we will need to adjourn into the closed session that was previously noticed. This is a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with labor negotiators. The agency's designated representative is the general manager of the the employee organization. Vallecitos Employee Association is the other party.
And I need a motion to
Adjourn into that
Re-enter?
closed session, to re-enter closed session, yes, please.
entertain a motion to re-enter closed session.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call vote?
Director Pettit,
Yes.
Dr. Boyd Hodgson,
Yes.
Director Hernandez,
Yes?
Director Ellithorp,
Yes.
Director Grossett.
Yes.
Very good.